We are into a new financial year. But a quick rewind and you will see how you were scrambling to complete your tax saving investments. You went to your CA and he said, no, tax has to be cut. Can this scenario be changed this financial year? That's what we will discuss in today's Investors Hangout, brought to you by Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund and Value Research. A warm welcome to the CEO of Value Research, Dhiren Kumar.
Thank you.
Dhiren, March is known as a tax planning month, and we are in April now, and again, 12 months from now, should we be going through the same rigmarole of how to tax save through the investments that we make, or can we do better than this?
Oh, that's a human tendency, procrastination, delay your investment, something which, wait for the deadline. And the deadline is March 31st. So we generally tend to, till it actually has fallen on us, that if you don't do it, you will lose. That is what happens in March. Your accountant deducts the tax. Correct. And then he says that if you don't invest, then you will not even get a refund. So this tax is gone. And the other problem of last minute rush is that you don't think objectively. You just look for anything which is easy and go about doing it. You don't think objectively about it. I would say that, this is a good time for anybody thoughtful. Plan your investment. Plan your investment for the tax saving. That is the gateway investment which everybody should have. This is something which is available to every investor. Any taxpayer that up to 1.5 lakh rupees investment made will be deducted from your income. That is section 80C, and on which is deducted from your income if you make these investment. There are number of investment avenues and some spending alternatives too are eligible for that, like tuition fee paid for 2 children is eligible deduction. That apart, you have the insurance premium, life insurance premium, or the fixed income alternative, public provident fund, NSC, 5-year bank deposit. Then you have the equity fund. If you are a marginal, if you're unable to save anything, but you just can save 1.5 lakh rupees a year, or a maximum 1.5 lakh rupees, or whatever. And the first advantage is that tax save is money earned. That's one. The other is that if it's a planned one, it can translate into something significant. Because if you are able to do 12,500 rupees a month, it will be methodical. It fits in with your income cycle. You earn every month, you invest every month. You don't have to worry about that March 31st deadline. March 31st actually becomes problematic. Many a times, you just don't have the money. And then you borrow to invest, which is actually a bad idea. And even the TDS is deducted. So you are left with less money and then waiting for that refund to come back. So don't wait for the last minute. Think about it, what it can translate into. Use it as an opportunity. Save your taxes. And if you are somebody who is earning 7 lakh rupees and you are able to make this 1.5 lakh rupee investment, it actually brings you to a zero tax bracket, because this budget has enabled something that if your taxable income is 5 lakh and less, so that 1.5 lakh rupees which can bring in, because that is a taxable income. This is after all the deductions. So if you are able to make that investment, it gets you to zero tax.
Okay. And more often than not, if you're rushed, you kind of pick up the wrong product.
Yeah, you don't ask question. And then you will end up with, an endowment policy. It's a long-term thing. You haven't asked question. It may not be useful. It may not be rewarding. It may not have the performance. Right. You have got something which you actually never needed. It's an opportunity loss.
Yeah. You know what, if I have seen and I've gone through it, that a lot of time salesmen come and say, sir, isko kar lo.
Tax bach jayega.
I did not think at that time, and I went by his advice, and I now know, after meeting you, what a poor advice it was.
You should have, 3-4 guidelines that, tax saving comes later. You should be reasonably covered, and you should have your hierarchy of savings, investment and spending
in place.
So, The first and foremost is if you have dependents, get a term insurance. If you don't have dependents, you don't need it. If you don't have financial dependents, you don't need life insurance. You need your emergency fund. You need your health insurance, because if you don't have your health insurance in place, you will not be able to, any small issue will derail your savings and investment plan. After this comes, and then tax saving investment. If you have crossed the threshold, if you are a taxable, if you are falling in a bracket, you are lucky that you have to pay taxes, you are earning well enough. There you have to really see that what should be your priority. Most people, their ATC is exhausted by employee provident fund. If you are in a private job, your provident fund is deducted. That will fill most of it. So if there is any residual thing, if your provident fund deduction is 50,000 and you can still save 1 lakh rupee, go ahead and do that, because provident fund will get you fixed income. If you have gotten into something which is, your grandparents told you that open your PPF account, maybe reconsider it, because PPF is nothing but a very long-term fixed income avenue, which is it's safe. It's very difficult to persuade a PPF believer into discontinuing it. But look at the equity returns on any 15-year period, it will beat it by a wide margin. So, if you want to be well off, if you want to have something meaningful, do your regular ATC investment of 1.5 lakh rupees every year, which is 12,500 rupees every month, and you'll be well taken care of, because that turns out to be the best performing asset class over a long period of time.
So what you're saying is that avoid the NSCs and the
NSCs, PPF, 5-year deposit, and once you have taken care of your emergency fund, life insurance, health insurance, go for this to the hilt.
Okay. So what Dhiren is saying is very simple. 12,500 per month. It helps you to plan better. It helps you to save your taxes. And then more often than not, people feel it to tax ka hai. Iska benefit kya hoega mere ko?
Nahin. It's your money. It should translate into something meaningful. And if you are able to take a 15-year, 20-year view on this, then if you are unable to save anything more, this itself will take care of your retirement need. You shouldn't be looking at 3 years. There is another reason why you should do it 12,500 rupees every month. Most people don't invest in equity, and most people are shaken by the volatility of equity. It goes up and down every month. They are so disappointed if they start and they think that they have lost money. The 3-year lock-in period of tax saving fund actually acclimatizes you to the volatility of equity, and you can't do anything about it. Because most people run away from equity because they can. In ELSS you can't. And 3-year, if you are held in ELSS for tax saving fund for 3 years, you get used to it, you understand the benefit of it, you experience the rewards, and then you stick around.
Okay. Wealth is when small efforts produce big results, and this is one way to make those big results for yourself. Plan ahead, plan from now, April to March. Per month, 12,500, and you will sit pretty, and there will not be any pressure on you. You will be kind of
nothing, because first is that you're stuck for 3 years anyway. Yeah, exactly. And the other is that in 3 years' time, you will generally have a superior experience than PPF or EPF or anything. Right. And if you're disciplined about it, if it keeps accumulating, and you don't have to do anything. You
As you said, it can help you in your retirement.
Yes, that can well be your retirement fund.
Yeah. Okay, we will move on to the Q&A part of our program now. And Rahul, you have asked us, which should I go for as a mix, ELSS and ULIP?
ULIP, no. We keep insisting, go for term insurance, but never go for ULIP. It gets you the ATC advantage because you don't get the best of either. It's not a great investment, and ideally one should not be mixing insurance and investment. Insurance is a very important need. You need to plan it better. And my need for insurance changes dramatically. If I'm single, I have no financial dependence, I don't need any insurance whatsoever. The moment I get...
But for your medical, you do.
life insurance.
Okay. You're talking about
Because
term.
I'm talking of unit-linked insurance plan which combines unit life insurance. So the moment I get married, and if I have a financial dependent, then my need for insurance is very large because I have no financial net worth at a young age. The moment I have kids, that need multiplies, grows dramatically. So in my first 5 years of my getting started with life on my own, my need for life insurance rises dramatically, and I have no financial net worth. There is no financial fallback. So the only way to achieve that need is pay a premium for a term insurance, which can get me a large coverage and paying a small premium at a young age. When you and then those needs actually come down over a period of time, as I'm building my financial net worth, as I'm saving and investing and it's growing. Then there is another milestone. If I buy a house, then the need for insurance goes up even more dramatically, because if I'm not around, the house will also go away. So and after that, as I'm building my net worth, things come down. EMI is paid, house is loan free, kids are getting into school or college and they are getting independent. Then my need for life insurance comes down gradually and then comes down to zero, because by that time I would have built up my net worth. Nobody is financially dependent because I have taken care of that. Those needs cannot be fulfilled by ULIP. And the moment you combine any product which combines insurance and investment, one should not mix insurance and investment. You get not necessarily the best or finest of either.
So this mix is not recommended by you at all?
I think whatever 80C window that you are left with, any provision that you are left with, go for ELSS, that is it. Okay. That turns out to be the best performing asset class, and you should be disciplined about it.
The next question is from Rajendra, and he says, I'm in the 20% tax bracket. Should I invest in voluntary provident fund to utilize my 80C limit?
No, because voluntary provident fund is that you have exhausted your provident fund deduction, and then you tell your employer that deduct more, and investment up to 1.5 lakh rupees is only eligible for that 80C deduction. So if you do that, then you are actually missing out, because provident fund is a mandatory thing. You should, to the extent possible, but not beyond what is the mandatory requirement, because equity turns out to be far superior alternative, and voluntary provident fund gets you fixed income on a very long-term investment and a long-term recurring investment out of your salary.
What about the additional 50,000 rupees NPS? That's a benefit that people have now, apart from 1,50,000?
Yeah. D. So that additional 50,000 exclusively available for NPS, I think it's a good idea. NPS has improved. Earlier we didn't have this view, but now ever since that it has become possible that 60% accumulation in NPS will be tax free, and earlier it was not possible to invest larger amount in equity for the long term. Today it is possible to allocate 75%. Earlier it was only 50%, but 75% equity and 60% being treated as a EET, despite the issue that 40% accumulation has to be converted into an annuity. I think NPS has improved and it is worth investing that additional. So if you earn 7 lakh rupee and can save 2 lakh rupees, you will be at zero tax.
Exactly. Next question is from Sudhakar, and he says, I am 33 years of age with a stable income. I consider myself as a moderate to high risk taker and looking forward to invest around rupees 30,000 every month. How should I start?
It's a very difficult question because moderate to high risk taker, I would not like to go by his own assessment of what kind of risk taker he is, because investors' mind change. In a rising market, you are a high risk taker, and when you see the decline, you say, I'm a moderate, or I didn't, this wasn't the deal. So I would say that get started based on your experiences, because only two things matter when it comes to, and those are more tangible things than your own, than a self-assessment of what kind of risk taker you are. One is, how much time do you have for your investments? if you have 10 year, 15 year, if you have a tangible goal 3 years from now, you can't assume risk, because then you'll be worried when you have accumulated. So see how much time do you have, any tangible goals for which you are investing. If that is the case, that you don't have a tangible goal in near future, 10 years or now, you just want it to be for financial security. The other is the experience bit. Have you experienced market linked investment? Because if you haven't, people don't invest from other people's, they don't learn from reading my columns. They don't learn from other people's mistake. You have to experience it. When you see that assuming that he's investing 30,000 rupees and he has done it for 1 year. He has put 3,60,000 rupees in an equity fund, and it turned out to be that, okay, it has done reasonably okay. It grew to about 4 lakh rupees. And then you see that some election result, something happened in China, something happened somewhere else in Libya, and oil prices went up and the market went down by 7%. And your investment went down by 10%. And you saw that your whole year of accumulation disappeared in 1 week's time. Till you have experienced this 4-5 times, and in a span of 2 to 3 years in a full market cycle, you don't learn it. You understand the benefit of it only after, because first blow and you run away. That is something which you have so experience in the market. So if you are investing for the first time, start conservatively, and doing regular investment is the only other antidote. So start with a balanced fund.
Yeah.
Don't go by your own self-assessment of whether you are a risk taker or not a risk-averse person. Start with a balanced fund. Don't look at your investments after you start your SIP for 1.5 year, and then consider an all equity fund.
Okay. So what is important, as I gather, is that you have to experience the whole cycle, that cyclical investment process you have to undergo.
Yeah, and this is not going to change. If you think that if you have started investing and market will start behaving, no. It is a very misbehaved thing. No.
Okay.
The market doesn't know that you are investing.
Okay, fine. Somit has written in saying, I started investing in 3 large cap oriented tax saving funds about 2 years back. Now I have more surplus to invest. Should I go for a mid cap fund, or should I add another large cap fund?
Yes, it depends. When investing in funds, ideally, one should not be looking at large cap, mid cap, small cap. Give your money to a fund manager who can invest anywhere. And 2-3 kind of category of funds qualify as that. One is a large and mid cap fund, so more diverse. Because when you invest in a large cap fund, you are saying that you have to invest only in large companies, nothing else. When you say a small cap fund, then only small companies. And these companies have their season. Some do well at some point and others struggle.
Which we saw in 2000.
All the time.
Yeah.
It is not new. Something will be doing well and others will not. Giving fund manager a freedom, flexibility. Those categories are, the large and mid cap, multi cap funds, value funds. They can invest across the market. They can look at opportunities. They could be growth oriented. The value funds are, conservative funds. Choose them. And if once you have experienced this for 2-3 years, then maybe, have a 10% or 15% allocation to mid and small cap fund. Okay. Because by then you will understand that they are volatile and they are rewarding, but it requires 4-5 years time. And generally start investing in them when they are not doing well, because mostly investors start investing in them when they have done well. And chasing past performance turns out to be very disappointing, because what we saw in 2018, everybody saw 2017, great returns, best performing asset, 50% return, average return on small cap fund. Everybody started investing, and now they are the most disappointed set of investors. So start investing in them when they are struggling.
But nobody can predict.
But that the numbers are not looking very compelling.
Okay, fine. Moving on, a very interesting question from Weber. He says, I'm only 25 years of age and have just started my career. How should I exhaust my ATC limit? Would like to know his income though.
Whatever it be, but it's a great idea. And you are 25, you will be a well-off person if you exhaust your ATC limit all the time. Or maybe,
retirement plan.
The retirement plan, you will have the best retirement plan, because I don't know, whatever be his income. But if somebody is wanting to exhaust his ATC limit of 1.5 lakh rupees, consider only the ELSS. And once you are married, once you have financial dependence, the only additional thing you should have is, if at all you have financial dependence, then you should have is a term plan.
Vaibhav, ELSS
The
is
tax
the only
saving
way,
funds,
yeah, that you need to go till the time you get married, as the name said.
No, till the time you have financial dependence, then, because marriage does not necessarily mean financial dependence nowadays, that part. So if you have a financial dependence, get your health cover, get your emergency fund, and after that, exhaust your ATC limit.
Hari Babu has written to us saying that I'm currently investing in a multi-cap fund and have recently realized that the tax saver fund of the same fund house is giving more returns than the multi-cap. Is it fine to switch my investment and SIP to the tax saver just because of this performance?
Maybe Hari Babu is over-analyzing because I don't know over what time period, which fund he is referring to. Also, I would generally think that theoretically, tax saving fund has one advantage. When you fund manager is at greater ease managing that money, because in an open-end fund, many investors invest, many investors redeem. Investors can come in and get out anytime. In case of tax saving fund, investors can come, but they can't get out for 3 years. So fund manager get a superior premise to plan their portfolio. They are reasonably certain that which part of the money is going to stay with them for 3 years and more. But I have seen that in the past, it has not translated into superior performance. If many a times we get false signals, and this could be one of those. Sometimes I don't see I haven't seen a conclusive evidence that tax saving funds do consistently better than others. In fact, there is another theory that many of the tax saving fund, once sold, fund managers are a little less interested because investors can't get out anyway. But at the same time, I would think that tax saving funds ideally should be doing better than other funds which are under all pressure all the time, with investors coming in and getting out. But you should not lock your money, because the lock-in period of a tax saving fund is unnecessary if you are going to invest more than 1.5 lakh rupees there.
Which category of debt fund should I choose for the money I otherwise plan to invest in a fixed deposit? I want absolute protection of my money, says K. Venkata.
I would say don't go beyond ultra short-term bond fund. Liquid fund and ultra short-term bond fund are the only alternatives, and they will not give you substantially superior return than fixed deposit. They will give you higher return, they will give you superior liquidity. You will also be entitled for superior tax, you'll get superior tax treatment, because ultra short-term bond fund held for 3 years, even if it gives as much return as a fixed deposit, the taxation on that will be far lower, because it will be treated as a capital gain, which is taxed at a lower rate than your marginal rate of taxation. Okay. So consider ultra short-term bond fund and liquid fund, go no further.
And his rider will be taken care of? I want absolute protection of my money.
I would say that I would err on the side of caution that yes, I'm just giving you I'm just trying to be a little sophisticated with my expression, that it will be reasonably protected, but mutual fund do not guarantee returns. Okay. Not absolute, reasonable.
Saji has written in saying, my goal is around 15 years away and I have already started investing for it from the last 5 years. Unfortunately, the fund I invested in turned out to be a poor performer. Though I have changed the fund, I would like to know, how can I make up for the lost time?
Don't try to make up for the lost time. Move on and hope for the best. If you have chosen a good fund, I think but I'll be very curious, Saji, to understand that why you think. I would like to understand which fund you invested. How did you invest it, and what is so disappointing about it? What made you change your fund, and has the fund started doing well after you have pulled out, and at the same time, past cannot, the mutual fund disclaimer. They are subject to market risk, and past performance is no indication of future. So bad funds start doing well, good funds stop doing well from at some point. So don't try to make up for the lost time.
Mehta has written in saying, which category of debt fund would be ideal in the current scenario to set up a systematic transfer plan into an equity fund? My horizon is 5 to 10 years.
Look no further beyond liquid fund or ultra short-term bond fund, because the whole idea of doing a STP, systematic transfer plan, from a fixed income fund to an equity fund is primarily to ensure that you are not investing a large sum of money in equity at one go, because that creates a lot of anxiety. When you invest 5 lakh rupees in an equity fund and it goes down by 10%, you think you are faced with, somebody has robbed you. So you average your investment. Meanwhile, your money is waiting in a fund which is not idle. It is earning some money, 7-8% return, and that's good enough. So don't look for the best. And anyway, the liquid funds and the ultra short-term bond funds, the range of performance is not very wide. The range between 6.5 to 9.5, which is pretty big, but in their context, but it is not going to make a huge difference to your life.
I have an endowment plan in a money back policy which has recently completed 5 years, writes Vishal. Would it be right to surrender them and invest the proceeds to an ELSS?
I think so, because for any thoughtful investor, the endowment plan and money back plan or ULIPs, they generally turn out to be hugely, particularly the endowment plan. They give low return, they give you guaranteed return but very low return. They end up providing you nothing meaningful. If you take the proceeds, go for a term plan and invest the rest of the money in a ELSS, you'll be much better off.
Okay. Well, that's all we have in today's program. As Dhiren said to you, keep it simple and straight. 12,500 per month, so that you can have tax-saving investments in place and you do not rush in the month of March in 2020. Till we meet next time, it's bye from Dhiren and me, Rajesh Lake. Keep investing.